The review sheet for exam 2 is found on OpenLab, contains 2 pages of problems, 11 questions in total. Number 1, getting a frequency distribution and making a histogram and a frequency polygon. First thing you'll need to calculate is the midpoint for each class. That means you take the endpoints, 130 plus 210, divide by 2, and that gets you 170 for this data. Now, one thing that you do also want to calculate is something called the class width. The class width is the distance not between the 2 endpoints, but the difference of the 2 beginning pieces of each class. So 211 minus 130 right over here gets you a class width equal to 81. Now this means that in order to get each midpoint, once you find the first one, you can find the next one by adding the class width 81. And then add 81 again, add 81 again, add 81 again. You can certainly also find the average for each class and get the midpoint that way. You'll get the same answers. But you do need to calculate the class width in order to get these alternate midpoints. One below the first value, 170 minus 81 is 89, and then one above the top value, 494 plus 81 is equal to 575, and this will be used. These 2 values are going to be used for the frequency polygon. They are not going to be used for the histogram. So let's take a look. First thing you need is a title. In this case, money spent on books. The second thing you need is a y-axis, typically the frequency. Pick an appropriate scale based on the frequency numbers that you were given. And the other thing you need, the next thing you need is a scale on the x-axis. And this is going to be the midpoints. Right, so since we're doing the polygon and the histogram, let's start our x-axis numbers with 81 and then increase it by the class width all the way up to 575. And the last thing you need here is a label for these numbers. And this label has to tell the reader what the numbers mean, right? Simply putting class here is not enough. Putting amount spent is not enough, right? Here you could put money spent, and that indicates dollars, or even I should put money spent in dollars, because these numbers have a certain unit attached to them, and whatever unit that is has to be stated. So let's put a little breakpoint here. We could start by drawing our bars going up to our respective frequencies. 6 for the first, 7, and then 1. Bar goes up to 2 for the next one, and the last one goes up to 4. Since this is a histogram, these bars have to be touching. They cannot be separated. You could put shading in here if you want to, but you certainly do not need to. I like to put it in there. And then your histogram is done. The polygon will go right on top of that histogram. Right, in this case, the polygon, you can put dots at the middle of each bar. Put 2 more dots on the bottom for the first midpoint and the bottom for the last midpoint, and then connect these dots. And there is your